The 30th anniversary of Pokemon was planned to be huge. Of course, we have had a pretty good share of awesome announcements, but Game Freak, the Pokemon Company, and Nintendo have seemingly just gone silent. So what are they going to release for the rest of this year? And what should have this 30th anniversary look like? I really think that on this year's Pokemon Day, being the 30th anniversary, it's a huge milestone. It's a huge year. Pokemon is more hyped up now than it ever has been. I feel like they should have laid out the next couple of years of Pokemon, like not even just Generation 10. They should have told us what they're planning. Like, I don't necessarily mean a trailer or like gameplay. I just mean like, this is what we're planning. This is what we want to do. Pokemon Legends Galar, Pokemon Legends Kyurem, whatever the heck they may be thinking of. I feel like they should have laid it out. I'll use Marvel as an example. Sometimes they do show off like their next couple of years of what they're gonna do. I feel like we should have had something like that with Pokemon. And of course, they could have kept a couple blank slates as like a mystery slot. I feel like just more transparency is exactly what we need from Game Freak. That way we don't lose the hype. That way we don't, go off on our own thinking of why are they not doing this, doing that. And before we hop right into it today, I'd greatly appreciate if you could subscribe to the channel. Help reach my goal of 40k subs. We are so close, guys. Let's see if we can hit my goal of 15 subscribers during this video. All right, let's get right to it. Also, I do think that the Fire Red Leaf Green ports were great. Like, that was really cool. It makes total sense because it's the anniversary. So obviously, Gen 1 port makes a lot of sense, but I still think to this day we should have had a real classic collection with generations 1, 2, and 3. That's been what people have wanted for years and years. And I think it just makes a lot of sense because, it's the original Game Boy games. Of course, Generation 4 started the era of the DS Pokemon games, which I do want a collection of the DS games or just some sort of port of them eventually onto the Switch or the Switch 2. But I think it just makes the most sense to have Generations 1 through 3. But the thing that's tricky with that is, would they just do the original Generations 1, 2, and 3 games? Or would they do the remakes of Generations 1, 2, and 3? So Fire Red Leaf Green, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and then Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. I feel like that would have been a hot seller, and I think most people would want the remakes, or they could have just done both. Why not literally give us a classic collection with just the original games and then another classic collection literally with the remakes? I would have totally purchased both of those.
I think because there's been nothing announced as far as, more ports go. I think we had that leak talking about how Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald are all compatible with the same thing that runs Fire Red and Leaf Green on the Switch and the Switch 2. So I think most likely we can expect those games to be ported later on this year. I think that would make sense, just especially because there's nothing extra that they would have to do. They quite literally would just have to copy paste the files of Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald onto this engine that runs it on the Switch and the Switch 2. And they know that these games would just sell like crazy. Like, so many people would be hyped. Fire Red and Leaf Green have already sold extremely well, so I just see no reason for them not to give us these other Game Boy Advance ports specifically. If we did see anything DS, Game Boy, even maybe 3DS, that would just be a total bonus, but I really think those are extremely unlikely to happen, but I think they're still fun to speculate about because we truly never know. They did say this was a year-long celebration. We still have quite a few months left, so I think they could surprise us.
And if we're talking about, ports and remakes, I really think something Generation 5 should have happened. Like, whether it be the announcement of a Legends game based in the Unova region, whether it be a port of just the regular Generation 5 games, Black and White and Black and White 2. I still want a remake, but I definitely want them to take their time on that. And apparently that's exactly what they're going to do based on the Terra leak. They kind of talked about how they're just going to do them eventually, but they're in no rush to do Gen 5 remakes, basically. And of course, we all know how the Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl Generation 4 remakes went, so I feel like it would have been really sick to just have Generation 4 and 5 ported over to the Switch and the Switch 2. Like, literally just the regular games just brought over, just like how I did with Fire Red Leaf Green.
I know I've said this so many times, but I mean, everybody in the community right now, maybe not everybody, but 90% of the community is waiting for some kind of Gen 5 game, whether it's ports, whether it's remakes, a Legends Unova possibly. So Gen 5 ports could be a huge thing to give us on the Switch and the Switch 2. Maybe not Black and White 2, maybe just give us the straight up Black and White games even. Gen 4 already had its time to shine on the Switch with Brilliant Diamond, Legends Arceus. So I mean, obviously Gen 5 would be next, so let's hope we see something. That would be sick.
Another thing I think we really should have had for this year is a more Generation 10 reveals and a 2026 release date, although the delay, honestly, is probably for the better. Like, it probably means the game is going to come out more polished and just better than it would have been if it were released in 2026. It's crazy, 5-year gap between Gen 9 and 10. I kind of hope it's not the new norm. I feel like 4 years in between every single generation is pretty good. But just because of the fact that we've had a bunch of rumors of us not getting any more trailers or any more new information from Game Freak themselves, that's excluding leaks. Like, we can still get leaks and rumors and information about it from reputable sources. I more so mean like literal, just huge, big announcements from Game Freak about it. I think that's a must. I totally think that we still should be getting announcements. Like another Pokemon Presents this year should still take place. We should still be getting another Generation 10 trailer, even if it's one more trailer. I think that's all we all could ask for. A second trailer that could show potentially the legendary Pokemon, maybe the third stage evolutions of the starter Pokemon, and the second stage, I guess, too. Even maybe like another couple of Pokemon, like early route Pokemon, you know, the simple mons that aren't anything too crazy to reveal, and just more about the gameplay and more of how it looks. Like, that is something that should happen, because the first half of this year was great. Tons of huge releases, tons of huge announcements, and they literally told us that it's going to be a year-round event. But where is it, Game Freak? Where have the big announcements been? What are you guys doing with the future announcements and the future, you know, releases of Pokemon second DLC for Legends ZA? Because since we're not going to be having another new game this year, unless they do drop Generation 2 and 3 remakes or some sort of other classic game collection thing, I think a second DLC for Legends ZA just makes a lot of sense. Now, what we need out of this obviously would be more Mega Evolutions, but also just taking place somewhere else in the Kalos region or even another region. Like, imagine the second DLC took place in a completely brand new island that technically would be in the new region of Generation 10, but obviously wouldn't be the full region. It'd be a place that we could only access through the DLC of ZA, if that makes sense. Just like how the Blueberry Academy is in the Unova region, but there are no other games you could enter the Blueberry Academy in. More Mega Evolutions would be super sick, and I want to know your ideas, what you think of new Mega Evolutions. Like, what are Pokemon that definitely need a Mega Evolution that would just be so cool to have? And a second DLC, I hope, would just come with the original DLC, you know what I mean? The ZA DLC, a lot of people like it, is fun, but it's definitely grindy, and I feel like it just should not have taken place also in Lumio City for the most part. Like, it should have totally taken place somewhere else, in a different city in Kalos, or maybe like a secret city in Kalos, or southern Kalos, because we don't really know about that much. Or, like I said, even just taking place in a completely different region, maybe the Alola region, maybe the Hoenn region. The ideas are really endless, and I think that would also just give this game some more life to it, especially because it is a Legends game, and it hasn't sold as much as new generations, which makes a lot of sense. I think it's a really fun game though, and I want it to last longer, so I think another DLC announcement would just make the most sense for the 30th anniversary of Pokemon.
Dude, we've had this rumor that the second DLC for Legends EA could be coming out for quite a while now. And I think it should happen because there's so many Mega Evolutions that I think we still need to see. So many Pokemon that kind of just got kicked to the curb when it came to who got new Mega Evolutions. I think Pokemon like Flygon is an obvious one. I think a Mega Milotic would have been cool. But what about some more underrated Pokemon getting Mega Evolutions? I saw a lot of cool ones like Mightyena and Samurott. All of those Pokemon need a Mega Evolution because they can't just give the other starter Pokemon from those gen a Mega Evolution without giving one to those guys as well. So I think that needs to happen. And honestly, the list just goes on and on of Pokemon. That would be super cool to see with a Mega Evolution. So let us know down below what you guys think, some Pokemon that you think would make sense to get a Mega Evolution. Because like I said, there's so many Pokemon that deserve one. I just said the ones that I think probably be close to the top of the list.
Something with Ash, I cannot believe we haven't had something with Ash. Like some sort of movie, anime episode, or even like a little cameo in a game, or just something with Ash. I just cannot believe we haven't had anything, especially since he is not like the main star of the anime anymore. I just feel like the 30th anniversary would be the best place to just show Ash off again, even if it's for just the smallest glimpse of anything. I also really think a Switch 2 Special Edition console for Pokemon should have happened. I think eventually it's gonna happen. My theory is when Winds and Waves does drop, they will drop a Switch 2 exclusive, because they tend to drop Switch exclusive consoles, or just consoles in general, with a brand new Pokemon generation or a big Pokemon game, so I think it would make a lot of sense. We don't even have any special edition Switch 2 consoles. We only have one extra color for the Joy-Cons, and they are very lame for the Switch 2. So even like some custom exclusive Joy-Cons or something with a Pokemon theme would be really cool. The Switch 2 does look really good. It looks really sleek. I just think a Switch 2 exclusive console really needs to happen, especially with Pokemon. But like I said, if Winds and Waves did release this year in 2026, I feel like they probably would have done a Switch 2 exclusive console alongside that as well. And now, like I said, the first half of the year was great. Fire Red Leaf Green ports, we had the announcement Generation 10, a lot of, you know, miscellaneous stuff. Pokeopia dropped as well, which is definitely like the big game of the year for Pokemon this year. It's a fantastic game. And I mentioned before, like, this game is good news for Pokemon because it shows they still have that creativity mindset. It's super fun. It's super unique. I mean, it's definitely very much like Animal Crossing, but still, even on top of that, it builds on a lot. I have so many hours put into that game, and I've barely even scratched the surface. Like, this is a game that will last years and years for me. And we will have another DLC. We've had a bunch of leaks about that from like the Terra Leak and reputable sources, so there is going to be a big DLC for that. So I think it's possible that this could also be announced this year and released this year to kind of fill up that extra blank content space at the end of this year, because we know there's no big announcements apparently happening. But one thing that is interesting is that with the Star Fox Direct, they announced that 10 minutes before they released it and went live with that Star Fox Direct. So I'm still kind of thinking maybe Nintendo could actually be doing some sort of big Pokemon Presents or some sort of like spin-off of a Pokemon Presents where they'll go on Twitter, 10 minutes beforehand and say big Pokemon announcement in 10 minutes, and then we'll have another trailer for Generation 10, or at least just an announcement of what they're gonna do next, like with the remainder of this year. The only reason I'm saying that is because it's the 30th anniversary and they said it's gonna be a year-round celebration, so on just a regular average year, I really wouldn't be expecting anything for the second half of this year, literally nothing. But especially because we had, releases already in the first half of this year, I just think because it's such an important year, it's such an important milestone, that's why they would want to do something this year. And Generation 2 and 3 ports just make the most sense in my mind, only because of the fact that if Generation 10 comes out next year, that's the perfect like midpoint, because a lot of people have probably already completed Fire Red Leaf Green and they want to play Gen 2 and 3 in between the release of Generation 10. That would just be perfect timing. So obviously Gale of Darkness and Coliseum are coming to the GameCube Switch Online service, which is cool. I think this should have came out as a physical copy though, like a dual copy of Coliseum and Gale of Darkness on one physical cartridge / digital if you want digital. But I think that would have been a really cool way to just kind of bring us back an older game that is very, very expensive on the second-hand market if you want an authentic copy. These games are really unique, it takes place in the Ore region, so it's just very, very unique. Back in the GameCube, like I guess it makes sense that they put it on the GameCube Switch Online stuff, but I feel like a lot of fans kind of wanted this as a physical copy, myself included, because I don't actually pay for the Switch Online service. But because it's the big 30th anniversary, that's why I just think it makes sense to give us ports and stuff of the older games. Like something like this would be great, or even some of the older spin-off titles like Pokemon Ranger titles or Mystery Dungeon, bring ported over in like a big collection on the Switch and the Switch 2. I am sure there are things I totally forgot to mention, so please let me know what you think we should have had released for the 30th anniversary of Pokemon. And it could even just be a wish list, like what do you wish they announced, or what do you wish they would come out with soon? Could be even your craziest theories, but let me know. Make sure to check out Jay's art in the description down below.
We're also doing a giveaway in our Discord server for 2 $20 Nintendo eShop gift cards. If you guys want to win, it's completely free to enter the giveaway. The link to the Discord is going to be down in the description. That's the best way to enter so that we can make sure to count every single entry. So good luck to all you guys who enter.
If you are a real one watching this from the video, comment down below, Lightning McQueen. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.